Divine Constitution and bylaws laid down by a prophet, and it reads: Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, Divine Constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday, first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality in divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and are partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with the necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of the children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious, become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American Prayer, Allah, Father Universe, Father Love, Truth, Peace, Freedom, and Justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, for his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Moorish Science Temple America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office Chicago, Illinois, U.S.A. Islam, Islam, Islam. Rise and giving humble praise to Allah, Father Universe, causes cause, a rootless root. Rise and give humble honors to all the prophets that came before Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius, etc. Rise and give humble honors to our prophet sent to us on these days and shores, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now rise and give high honors to his forerunner, Marcus Mosaic Garvey. And I rise and I give high honors to the Moorish Temple of America and all Moorish Americans. Rising, giving honors specifically to our leadership, our first Grand Sheik and Chairman, Edward Milieu, to our current Grand Sheik and Chairman, Keith Dandridge. I rise and give high honors to Brother Tyrone Harris Bay and those under his leadership. Islam, it's always good to give honors where honors is due, because when man honors man, he honors Allah. So I want to give honors to everyone here on the call. I reading of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws is very special and very significant. It's not just to remind us of the laws or what we have contracted to when we sign or when we get our nationality card and we call ourselves Moorish Americans. It binds us. It's a covenant. And there's certain things in a covenant, under a covenant, that gives you or it connects you to certain things. And certain rules and certain ideas, the way that Divine Constitution and Bylaws is written, and I keep stressing this, and I'm gonna ask a question. Brother Eric, can you answer this question real quick? I'm gonna see if you know. I'm gonna quiz you a little bit.
All right, you ask a question.
Brother, can you, when it says in the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, when it says said government, what's your thought and process on that?
The American government.
The American government. But why isn't that specific?
I think it's kind of like redundant to me. Like when he said we're part and parcel of the government and live life accordingly. Then or later on he says the said government. Because he's saying I already mentioned the government, even though he didn't say the American government. He didn't say that. Okay. But I think it's implied.
Okay, it's implied. And I trust that answer very well. That answer is very much so true. But to take this into thought, do you think that this movement is supposed to be only for specifically Moors, our people here in America?
Not only, I think primarily, because you do an X6. We talking about 1865, 1779, 1865. That date only had those dates to me are references to slavery being here in the United States and being abolished here in the United States.
Right.
And then America, I think he says America more in a national way instead of a continental way in that instance.
Okay. Also, let's look at from a microcosm and a macrocosm perspective. Like if you look at the fact that you live in Pennsylvania, right? You stay in Pennsylvania. Okay. Pennsylvania has its own constitution, right?
Yep.
Okay. Same here as New Jersey and with the Sheik Grand Sheik Allende, he's in Virginia. And Virginia has its own constitution. You have your own laws and statutes, and your government, your municipality is a government. So it's not only dealing with, it not only can deal with just on a national scale dealing with the United States of America, but also can deal with your government and your local government where you reside, saying that you need to obey the laws of the land according to their, saying their constitution as well. That you're not to overthrow the said government. You're not to overthrow the government, which is, which is in power, or which is in authority at the point of time over the area that you live, in the government in which you live. Islam, you see, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
It's not,
understand.
so it has like an ambiguous um presence, because it's supposed to be something. It could be utilized even on a local scale, you know. So it kind of defeats those people who say, "Well, I'm a state citizen. I don't have to listen to the federal government." You know what I'm saying? I'm a state citizen, right? Some people do that, like, "Oh, well, I'm my ties is to this and that." Well, what's the government in which you live? We don't live we go to the temple, but there's no actual, we don't have land yet. And then that transcends even to that, Mo. When we do have land, and our rules is our government is the government in which we live with. You know what I'm saying? Because if
Yeah,
the prophet actually put United States of America government, he kind of keep it kind of like stuck in one phase of this whole journey. You understand? Because it's supposed to be an unfoldment. Prophet said your nationality card will change overnight. Well, I probably butchered that. I'm sorry, brother Lindale. Um, but your card is what it means is not saying that the words. Because when I first started off, when I heard that, I really thought that I'm dealing with the Sufi. Me and you, Eric, with the Sufis, we there's some stuff. So we thinking that names will actually the card will actually change. I'm thinking the card will actually change. That's just my imagination. My thoughts will be out there. But what he's saying is, as the organization unfolds and it takes on different domain, jurisdiction, what I'm saying, businesses, schools, all that stuff that we know we should be operating doing, the card will change. I mean, the meaning and its representation, the authority and what it holds and the significance of it will change in that sense. Okay, so um, yeah, I just wanted to touch because see how the divine constitution bylaws is so significant. It's not just some meaning seven acts. And then you have the additional laws, right? The additional acts, right? Additional acts have a meaning as well. They're more internal in the internal workings of the organization. See, when you display the divine constitutional bylaws, this goes out in public. You're supposed to display this in a public in your public meeting. So they'll know when anybody walking in could see it. And it's for public display, public representation. Now the inner workings of the organization and what sheiks can do and this and that, financial, all that's in the additional acts. The approval, operation, and this, that's in the additional acts. That's for the internal organization. It still is important for all the members, but you don't really display that on the public side in a sense. But that's internal. So it's very significant. Um, anyone have a portion that they want to add on to the demonstration? No.
I don't have nothing to add on. I just
You got
want
a
to comment
question?
on that.
Huh?
So I want to make a comment on that what you said.
Go ahead, sir.
So I've been in Temple now for 7 years,
Yes, sir.
and I ain't never, you know what I mean? I have never had anyone expound that. Oh, the additional laws is strictly for more like the membership.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, that make a lot of sense. Because they're talking about the dues,
Yeah.
they talk about the Sunday school, attending Sunday school.
Yeah,
It talks about don't speak about the American flag.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I get that now. Why it's additional laws? Because it's particularly dealing with people in the membership. So I just wanted to add that. So
Okay. Yeah, that's just and that took time. I learned that from brother Kwam Pitzel, out of Chicago. Yeah, we he was demonstrating on the divine constitution bylaws, and my previous Grand Sheik Mesronel, he had us do what did we do? We wrote a paper or something like that on it. We just had like demonstrate the meaning of. Oh no. We did a whole Wednesday lessons on the whole Constitution bylaws just to try to understand it better, and then we wrote a paper on the nationality card and whatnot. But I could tell you this, I even back then doing that it helped me, but I still didn't know because it took time for people to teach and tell me what the demonstration was. You know, I can tell you this brother over here with the fez on, his books help. I ain't going front. I ain't going front, man. Um, hold on real quick, Morris. Let me see this. Okay. Sorry, excuse me for that. Um, the we want to start with the questionnaires, where we at. Last week we were at question 25. Um, and we were trying to discuss the idea or the concept of why would the prophet list what he said about Jesus, where was he born? Of course, in Bethlehem. He could have stopped right there, like, because he was born in Bethlehem. But he said of Judah and the house of David. I'm trying to find the significance of Judah and the house of David. You know, now last week we kind of alluded that to being like a possibly having some type of astrological meaning of time, dealing with the point of when Jesus was born, what was in play, actually. But like I said, like these lessons, they're open for people's understanding. Um, because we know that Bethlehem means house of bread in the Hebrew. And then we say of Judah. So Judah, knowing Judah is a tribe of Israel, and then esoterically, if you have the metaphysical Bible, Judah also being a lion represents Leo, and then David himself, the house of David. Now, when you look at me see this. Because David in itself has David in himself has a representation of stars. So I say, what's it still, Solomon? What's that? If you look it up, you're dealing with the 7 planets conjunction with the sun. So Jesus being the center, Jesus being the son of man, son in the house of David, possibly. This might be a better depiction. And then let's go down, and it just talks about it right here. I pulled this up. Of course, it's from the Golden Dawn. I don't necessarily subscribe to a lot of any of their teachings like that, but they do have some stuff. And they're dealing with the hexagram, Sephiros. Then dealing with man. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. But this doesn't necessarily give a clear to what maybe the prophet is alluding to. Like I said, everyone has a portion. That was my trying to draw from it. So I'm not necessarily going to say what this is actually the standard or the sunum bonum of the understanding of question 25. Stop that. So anyone's open to give an understanding.
Islam, Sheik.
Yes, sir.
I want to rise first, giving perfect praise to the great God Allah. I'll give highest honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I'm going to give honors to all of the honors that you gave honors to. And I'm going to give honors to everyone in this temple of the sun. All praise be to Allah. I would say our starting point for understanding is our view of the question and the answer. And what keeps us safe and in the bounds of righteousness with the question and answer and being able to explain it is having a religious mind, a legal mind, and a scientific mind. As you were going into what we call today astrology, can be found in the Vedas and the Manic. When we're talking about the Vedas, we're talking about the celestial realm. When we're talking about the Manic, we're talking about how that particular science, which we deem today called astrology, how it affects us on Earth. Now, I would say the starting point for that particular question, I believe question 25 is our starting point in membership is it reveals a particular lineage, more specifically a place. But the question is also to get us to thinking about our connection to this great soul named Jesus, Islam, in Judah in the house of David. You went with the science. I'll take it with religion. That was the place where the Ark of the Covenant was established. Also, the child called Jesus. Didn't have a last name. That was also the name by which he was known. Jesus of Nazareth, the child from Judah, Jesus of the house of David. Various different ways to describe this personality called Jesus. But I just wanted to highlight how we look at these questions and to step into the mind of the prophet. You can't go wrong with the religious / spiritual mind, a legal mind, and a scientific mind. Islam. So yeah, I'd like to hear the rest of your demonstration on that as it pertains to the astrology, Islam.
Well, Islam, I don't really, like I said, it's that's a draw I actually did, and I don't think I actually came to really fully connect the actual meaning of that actual through the astrology signs. So, you know, that's just a portion, my portion. Yeah.
Islam, Sheik, the Prophet said, where science and religion blend without friction. So this, I guess that's where we at. Where we're blending the science with our religion. Islam.
Islam. Let me see what I had. Let's see if I can pull that thing up again. Give me a moment.
Yes, each time I sit down, you were just right there because my window. Each time I sit on my lap, it hurts.
Hold on.
Tonight we're gonna exercise. Get up.
Okay. What we have here? So let me go back up a little bit. So they say in the students of Western Hermetic tradition are no doubt familiar with the association of the 6 points in the center of the hexagon with the 7 planets known as the ancients. So, going with the ancients. They go right here. Celestial Star of David is an astrological aspect that looks exactly like a Jewish star. Many I recognize, and it is historically linked to King David, who actually had a Star of David in his natal astrology chart formed by the planets. This was amazing since there were only 7 known planets at the time, 6 of which had to be in the correct position. And they got this from Star of David interpretation of astrology. Then planetary geometry is a line, shape, or pattern that is formed when lines are drawn to connect the position of the planets in the sky. The most famous example of planetary geometry is the Star of David. The Hebrew prophets believed that when their great king David was born, planets were aligned to form special symmetrical shape like the one in the above chart. To the Hebrew prophets, the alignment of planets was God's sign that something historically great was about to happen, and they believed that a great king was going to be born to Hebrews. That special symmetrical alignment of planets is now the symbol known as the Star of David. The indication of the symbol was astrologically derived, is the fact they still call it the Star of David. As you can easily see, the above figure, the Star of David, has 2 symmetrical triangles and can be formed in the sky by 6 planets. So, looking at that, in my understanding, the star and the key words were brought: drawn line, pattern, symmetrical. But main thing was a sign. So, trying to add science to this, I would see that the fact that he was in Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David was just evidence of his special, him being special, and a sign. The fact that it's alignment, the fact that he was in Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David, that's a sequence in alignment. So there was an alignment with Prophet Jesus. Is on. So, and anybody got another draw? Or? No? Okay, we can go to the next question. Nobody else has a draw on that. The next question: who were his father and mother? Of course, it says Joseph and Mary. Right? We all know that Joseph and Mary were his father and mother, and that's significant because in the Christian lore, they'll say what? Who's the father? I mean, of course, the Bible itself alludes to Joseph being the father, but the Christian Lord in itself will say what?
God is the father.
God's the father. Right? God's the father. But what the prophet, what it appears the prophet is doing, he's trying to get in our minds to set our focus on the fact that Joseph and Mary are the parents, and take us away from the concept of Jesus being the Son of God, or God having, the whole Christian paradigm in a sense. Because in Islam, it's not known, it's not said or known, or it's taught that Jesus is the Son of God. I mean, Immaculate Conception is taught in a sense, but they know the fact that God himself, the great God of the universe, did not implant his self into Mary and Jesus was born. You know that. Some say that the angel that came and visited Mary might have been in the process of the conception of Jesus. That's some say that. But from what I can draw is that the purpose of the prophet saying who were his father and mother, and that simple answer, Joseph and Mary, would just mainly just understand that, hey, those were his friends. He didn't necessarily have to go into the the whole Christian ideology in the sense of when dealing with Jesus. He's taking us on a different journey and perspective, and getting us to understand how to perceive Jesus in this time. So, and anybody else got a draw?
Islam, Sheik.
Islam.
That is beautifully demonstrated. I like how you brought us to the first mind, our first stage, coming into the temple back in the early 2000s, being heavily laden with Christianity. We were taught about that. We were taught that God is the father of Jesus. But then, I come into the temple and I began to think, and I say, well, why would Allah violate his own law? If man can't go into his neighbor's wife, how is it that Allah can go into another person's another being? Why would Allah go into his own creation and make a child? That question and answer is very pertinent, considering the times that there was no other movement other than Christianity in the land. That's all our people knew. Islam. And one thing that we know is that Jesus became like his creator. And I have to tread lightly with that because I'm not familiar with the temple setting and who's coming into the movement and their time frame into that, but people take things literally. Christians read literally. And if we're discussing the genealogy of Jesus, it would be important to discuss who his father and mother were. What was the line of Joseph? Well, the line of Joseph leads to Ruth, the Moabitess. And upon a deeper investigation of Mary's line of genealogy is also tied in with Joseph's line. Islam. So the prophet is right when he teaches us that Jesus was of the ancient Canaanite and Moabite bloodline. And I hope that I have said it the right way, as I don't have my Quran in front of me, but he said Jesus was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanite race and nation. Let's go to that so I won't be out of order if I said it wrong. Pardon us. Yeah, here we go. Chapter 46. It says, the Roman nations founded the first church, of whom Jesus of Nazareth, for seeking to redeem his people from the Roman yoke and law. Jesus himself was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabite and the inhabitants of Africa. So when we look at the genealogy of Jesus, and you can't help but to look at the genealogy of also Joseph, as well as Mary, we'll come to the understanding of the second verse in chapter 46. How and why he's regarded as the true blood of the ancient Canaanites and Moabites. But my question, Sheik, for the floor is, why did the prophet put true blood? How come he just didn't say that Jesus himself was an ancient Canaanite and Moabite in the heavens of Africa? Why did he say true blood?
Islam. That's a good question. We'll just look at the term true blood.
Mm-hmm.
When someone is a true blood, that means that the connection, right, is is more genuine. And when I mean genuine, is more authentic, possibly. Whereas, you have different, throughout time, you get people who marry and you get mixtures from different marriages and all that stuff like that. I guess he was saying that he was of a true blood and not necessarily maybe someone else who might have came later.
Right. Islam, Sheik.
Yeah, that's
Islam. Well, Sheik, we asked that question because he says true blood, true descendants. Islam, true blood, true descendants. And like you said, another nation comes in and they may claim the work of a people. When another people go to sleep, they claim their works. But that alone takes me to the second page where Sultan Abdul Aziz Ibn Sawad's up there, and it don't say the true seed of Hagar, it says the descendant of Hagar.
Right.
The prophet made emphasis on those things with the expression of true blood, true descendants. You know, even as it relates to us, because if somebody else were to tell our story from another organization, which I will not speak radical about them, but I will speak radical about the information that they teach. They teach that the Moabites are the Chinese and the Japanese.
I don't know.
You know, when we know for a fact that the seed of Hagar are the Chinese and Japanese, not the Moabites. Chinese and Japanese are not Moabites. The seed of Hagar are the Chinese and the Japanese. You know, Islam.
I see. When you, I guess that's a good example with brother with the Ibn Saud. I know he is say true, but he said descendant.
Right.
And it says seed. Yeah, it says
Islam, Sheik.
Yeah.
If I can. If anybody has studied the personality of a Capricorn, we know our prophet was born January 8th, 1886, because he said so. And it's an expression that we can see on his death certificate as well as the questionnaire. But when I don't know if anybody on here is a Capricorn, but if you study the personality of a Capricorn, they're comical. They're serious at the same time. So when we look at page 2 and we see Sultan Abdul Aziz Ibn Sawad, and then it says the descendant of Hagar, now the head of the holy city of Mecca. And I'm emphasizing the word now because that's comedy. Because again, he could have said the true descendant of Hagar, but he didn't. He did not say the true descendant of Hagar. He didn't say the true blood of Hagar. He just said the descendant of Hagar, now the head of the holy city of Mecca. You know, I questioned that because I wanted to when I read the Quran, I wanted to tap into the mind of the prophet. I wanted to have an understanding of his personality, and that leads to the way he wrote the Quran. And when you see now, we have to begin to question, why did he say now the head of the holy city of Mecca? When in chapter 40, pardon me for rambling, Moors. When in chapter 45, in verse 7, it says, the Turks are the true descendants of Hagar. Now, what is the nationality of Sultan Ibn? What is the nationality of Sultan Abdul Aziz Ibn Sawad? What is his nationality? Was he a Turk?
Wasn't he a Saudi?
He was a Saudi. And if we could take a person who has been given a bad name and his image tarnished based on whatever he allegedly done, Bin Laden is the grandson of Sultan Abdul Aziz Ibn Sawad. So what is the nationality of Sultan Abdul Ibn Sawad? He was an Arabian.
Islam. Okay.
So when we square that with verse 7, where it says the Turks are, listen to what the prophet is saying, but listen to his personality as he has expressed it on the Quran. The Turks are, he said that with confidence. You know, are is a very pungent word, just like is. Just like the word will. Words have power. We should slow it down when we read and not read it so fast. You know, this is what I teach in my Sunday school, that we have to get into a slower rhythm when we read the words of the prophet. The Turks are. He didn't say the Turks might be. He didn't say I think the Turks are. He said the Turks are. So that takes away all of the contradictions and his confidence there. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca, beginning from Muhammad I, the founder of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God, Allah. Then we go to instruction 3, the Egyptians who were, because he say who were, because the Hammatites are now Egyptians. So you look at that word were in contrast to the word are. He could have said the Turks were the true descendants of Hagar, but he said the true Turks are. Y'all see where I'm going? I hope I don't sound pseudo.
No, you on point.
All right, so the Egyptians who were the Hammatites and of a direct. So he says direct descendants, then he say true descendants of Misraim. The Arabians, the seed of Hagar. So we look at the seed of Hagar in contrast to the true seed of Hagar, true descendants of Hagar. Now, are we talking about, and I don't want to take over your Sunday school, I just get excited about the prophet's lesson. I do apologize. Islam.
Islam, go ahead, man.
All right. Are we talking about Hagar, the woman? And does a woman have a seed, or does she hold the seed? And if not, who is this? Who is this Hagar? Because when we study the Latin word for seed, we come to understand that the word seed is used just like we use seeds today as men. Oh, that's my seed right there. That's my child. But in Latin, the word seed means semen. So how does the woman called Hagar hold a or possess semen or a seed? And I hope that I am speaking PG-13, because I'm not sure if people have children listening or any women are around. I just want to keep it correct. Islam, Sheik?
Islam. Yeah.
But I'm asking these questions to provoke thought. Because in the Holy Bible, there were people who were called the Hagarims or Hagarites. And when we look at Psalms 83, I believe it's 83, pardon me. Let me look at the Bible real quick and find that particular Psalms where it is mentioned. Going to Psalms, here we go. All right, here we go. Psalms 83, verse 6. It says the tents. That's like that word house, tents. The word tents is used, T-E-N-T-S, like a tent, is used like the word house. The tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarites, the Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyria also joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot. The children of Lot are the Moabites. But I'm taking you to this particular scripture, Psalms 83, verse 7, to show you that there are male Hagarites. They're also called Hagarims. But Hagarites is talking about the descendants, or in the prophet's context, the seed of Hagar. See, when we're looking at biblical names, Hagar, Moab, Ham, Cush. It's not just talking about a biblical character. It could be talking about three things: a person, a people, and land. So this seed of Hagar is not talking about the woman called Hagar that married Abraham. It's talking about the descendants of Hagar and Abraham. So I kind of wanted to, I mentioned that so that when we read in the Prophet Noble Jurali explaining who the Asiatics are, as it pertains to what you opened up with, Sheik, when you had asked, is this organization just for us? And I believe the brother Eric Rutherford Bay demonstrated that this is an organization that is for us, right? But it is something that we can go out with and educate other Asiatics, where we can properly teach nationality to our people in hopes that we can bring them back to their original creed, which is Islam. And I yield with that, but I brought it up to provoke some thought as it relates to the prophet's language in the Quran, so we know his spirit when we read other things. Islam.
Okay. Islam. Yeah. Okay. Well, I know. Yeah, you accomplished your goal because you got me thinking over here, Mo. Like, 'cause I'm looking at this, and what I'm trying to come to an understanding. Okay. Well, verse 6 in the Psalms 83. See, what Bible did you read from? What version?
I'm reading from the King James Version.
You have a King James version?
Yes, I have a King James Version. The Bible was given to me in the early 80s by my Aunt Barbara.
You got an Aunt Barbara?
Everybody got an Aunt Barbara. She makes some cold potato salad too. Yeah, Islam, bro.
I got an Aunt Barbara too, man.
Praise Allah.
Everybody got an Aunt Barbara.
Everybody do. That's right.
Verse 6 in my Bible starts off, doesn't say tents, it says tabernacle.
Mm-hmm.
It says tabernacle and the Ishmaelite. Then it has a semicolon of Moab and the Hagarenes.
That's right.
Then it says Gabal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Okay. I kind of see what you're saying. When you're saying that, when you say these are all, because when it gets to Asher, joined with them, they have helped the children of Lot. And the children of Lot, one was Moab. So he's dealing with the Moabite. I see the thing, it says Ishmaelites of Moab.
Yes.
Well, that's throwing me off because Ishmael was the son of
Abraham. Right.
But Lot was Abraham's what, uncle, right? Or nephew.
Of Abraham, right.
Abraham. He wasn't a seed. Lot was, so you're dealing with two different Moabs. I always see it. You see what I'm saying?
Islam, Sheik.
That's what something I wanted to ponder on, because it's like, because we know the Ishmaelites, we know those who see Ishmael and who Ishmael is, but they're telling you this particular The mission of Moab and the Hangarine.
Islam, Sheik, if I may,
Oh, go ahead.
the Ishmaelites of Moab.
Yeah.
That's like saying the Asiatics of America. Are those Asiatics American?
Land. The land
Yes.
of Moab.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, she. Okay, I got
You
it.
know, you know, and I can't help but to say this, but it goes back to question 25.
Okay.
Jesus, who was born in Judah in the house of David. So look, the Ishmaelites of Moab. See, there's different types of Moabites. Let's look at our record. It say that there's ancient Moabites, and you got Moabites.
Right.
All right, so Jesus was of the true blood of the ancient Canaanite and Moabite, right? Right?
Right.
All right. Because you know, as I'm thinking, I'm trying to organize what I'm saying so I won't be all over the place. And I got a habit of being all over the place sometimes. But there's different points in the Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America where the prophet refers to different types of Moabites. Let's look at 45, chapter 45, verse 2. The key of civilization was and is in the hands of the Asiatic nations, the Moorish, who were the ancient Moabites and the founders of the holy city of Mecca. So you got ancient Moabites who are founders of the holy city of Mecca, right?
Right. Islam. Good.
All right. Then you have 45, verse 40, chapter 47, verse 6, the Moabites from the land of Moab who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt. Now, when I say different types, I don't mean different stalks and variants of Moabites. I'm saying it's different periods of time that the prophet is referring to Moabites. In chapter 47, he says, the Moabites from the land of Moab who received permissions from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. So hopefully we begin to see how the ancient Moabites, as the prophets references, and who what I call types, basically is referring to periods or eras of time. Islam, because the holy city of Mecca, which if you pay attention to the Quran questionnaire, he also tells you what it was before it was called that. And what's strange but not so strange is that in the same book of Psalms, where it talks about those whose hearts are set on pilgrimage as they pass through the valley of Baca, which Baca is the ancient name, or we would say a Hebrew name, or a ancient Canaanite name for the word Mecca.
Yeah.
It's Islam.
Islam, right? That's right.
So if you were exercising your five senses, you would see this tent, or in your words, as you say, Sheik, the tabernacle, or as we come to know in the prophet's language, the word house, is that these Moabites are, in fact, the founders of the holy city of Mecca. But according to the Bible, they were called Ishmaelites of Moab. Now, we know Abraham and Hagar had a baby named Ishmael. Ishmael married a Moabitess. Ishmael married a Moabitess. His children are referred to as Ishmaelites, but they are, in fact, Moabites, just as much Moabite as they are Ishmaelites. Yeah, Ishmael married a Moabite. Her name slipped my. It's not Zipporah. No, it's not Zipporah. It's another name. And her children today are the Moors of the Sudan. Yeah, the Moors in the East. Islam. Also put in the note section, Psalms 84, verse 5 and 6. Yeah, Psalms 84, verses 5 and 6. This is how the prophet showed the Moors how the Moabites are the founders of the holy city of Mecca, using scripture, using scripture, using biblical references.
Oh, hold on. See, keep going, man. I actually got someone outside. I gotta run outside real quick, but take the floor, Mo, just for the next few minutes.
All right, Islam. Is anybody else on the line, or is it just me on here? Brother E. Rutherford Bay, you up there?
Yeah.
All right, Islam. Praise Allah. So it's just me and you, right?
Yeah.
All right, Islam. And that's all we need sometimes, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So do you have any questions about anything that I've expressed?
I see Talik put some notes in the chat. Person, people, land, Baka, Mecca, Ishmael, married, Moabite. Psalms 83 said, 3 or 4, 5 and 6.
Right. Now you know the Bible, right? And the prophet was a master, and he was a master interpreter of the Holy Bible from Genesis to Revelation. You can find that on his business card where he say that, right? But actually what he was saying was he was announcing to those who have a Masonic background that he's aware of their degrees in his interpretation of the Bible from Genesis all the way to Revelation. See, there's a difference between scripture and story. And sometimes when we read the Bible, we get caught up in the biblical character, thinking that, when we hear Lot, that Lot is talking about one person. But Lot could be talking about people. Lot could be talking about land. Lot could also be talking about a characteristic, the nature, the influence, the acts of, not when I say acts, I'm talking about the actions of his seed. Now you're probably familiar with this term, right? Where they say, and Adam lived to be 900 years, right? Or so and so lived 1,000 years, right? It's almost like saying that Prophet Noble Drew Ali is actually living to like 190 years because his name is still being carried on. Islam. It's talking about us keeping his name going. So it's different ways you look at the Bible. You can't just look at Moab as the child of Lot. You got to look at Moab as a people. You got to look at Moab as land. And you have to look at Moab as a person. See, it starts off as a person. And this is where we get confused too, because we have the land of Canaan, and we also have a child called Canaan. And I'm not talking about Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel. I'm talking about a child called Canaan. So what came first? The land or the child? Or the people? Islam?
From my understanding, usually the people come first, the person come first, and then they name territory after people.
Islam.
Like first Hebrew.
That's right. Islam. Now, what you just said just automatically took me to Abram, because he was, well, some people say Ibrahim, some people say Abraham, some people say Abraham, tomato, right? But he wasn't always Ham, right? He became Ham when he went into the dominion of Ham. He inherited the land and the people. See, because when his parents gave him a name, they named him Abram. He wasn't Abraham. He was Abram. A-B-R, Abram. All right. He wasn't Abraham until God gave him the land of Ham. Now, where does the prophet tell us that the land of Ham is?
Africa.
That's right. That's right. And a particular portion of Africa, right?
North, east, and south, West Africa.
No, wait. You said northeast and southwest?
Yeah, northeast and southwest Africa, which is Father's Dominion, something like that. That's how I go.
All right. All right. All right. Northeast Africa and Northwest Africa. No, it say the man of Kush, northeast and southeast Africa. Northwest and southwest was his father's dominion.
Or northeast and
Northwest and southwest is Ham's. Northeast and southeast is Kush. Right?
Mm.
So when Abram received the name Abraham from God, he inherited the land and the people. Islam? Islam, we clear on that?
What you mean by inherit though? What does that really mean when you inherit land, inherit people?
All right, so like here's an example. When Ruth married, well, when Boaz married Ruth, she said, "Your people are now my people." It's like an assembly, like coming together, confederating, uniting houses. All right. So the Bible tells us that Abraham's original name was Abram, and God gave him Ham, Abraham. But that Ham is dealing with the dominion of Ham. So God told him to leave where he was at and go over there, right? So when he went over there in the land of Ham, he not only inherited the land, but he also took in the people. Those people became his people. You get it now?
To some degree, this is more like he's subjected to being like they become subjected to him, or how did that work?
All right. It's like this. Now, before Muhammad went into Arabia, right? What was the religious practice of Arabia?
I'm not sure. It was just pagans, right?
Yeah, it was pagans. There was another form of Christianity that was there. But when Muhammad began teaching and uniting Islam, those people became Muhammadan. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
All right. So I'm saying in the same sense, Abraham is also regarded as the father of nations. Right? Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna take it here. I'm gonna take it here. Like our nationality card says, the God of our father Allah. That's not saying that God, it's not saying that Allah has a God. It's saying the God of our fathers. So what is the God of our fathers? We start with the questionnaire when it said name some of the great fathers to which Jesus came. The first one is not Adam. The first father is not Adam. The first father is Abraham. Right? Mm-hmm. So what did Abraham name us? He named us Muslims. And then what else did he do? He said that I want to make sure that my seeds follow my way. So it doesn't necessarily mean but the people who follow his way. Now the question becomes, what was his way? And I'm sorry, I got a lot of background noises. Islam Moors, my apologies for that.
You know.
Hey, I'm a leave and I'm gonna come back in because my volume's down. I'll be right back.
Okay, praise Allah. I think one thing we can touch on is that he mentioned that Abraham called us Muslims. That could be traced back to the Quran. I believe I can find the surah real quick. Hold on for one moment. It's a surah. And I want to plug something too, man. Hey, y'all Moors get a chance, man. Check out that Moors in America new demonstration, man. Brother Douglas will go win. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, man, he goes in. Yeah, how about that? I can say this, man. You don't need to buy if you don't got the book. When Rocks Cry Out, don't worry about buying it. Just watch that video by the Moors in America, man. There's an outstanding job of connecting a lot of the dots. Beautiful job. Preaching. I know this is pure honey, pure religion of Abraham. Look. So imagine 87. Therefore, admission prophets, admission to be received to those who fear. Books of Abraham and Moses. Show the engagements. Scrolls of Abraham, understood by Muslims who further set revolution. Something different. Abraham was given Khalil Hawa. Ooh, I'm gonna put this in the notes. Yeah, I'm gonna start doing minor interpretation. This sacrifice. Competition. I'm trying to get that reference, man. If I can't find it, all apologies. I know it might be Surah. Let's see. Abraham, speaking of Abraham. Ibrahim, as we would say. Hmm. I'll I'll stay looking for that, man. But while we, I think what Kerry, brother, the Sheik is saying, man, is that in the understanding of when someone says they've inherited the people, that means that it's almost like you married into the family now. You know what I'm saying? Their people is your people. Your people is that you guys are now one. It's a connection. And marrying someone, I don't just marry that person, I marry their family at that time. So what it is that, or even it can be marriage, but if God, if Allah gives them the dominions, you know what I'm saying, the dominions of him and the people, that means that he is connecting him to the people. Okay. He's connecting them to the people. Um, uh, we can see that in his travels, him going between Canaan land and going to Egypt. He spent time in Egypt. Um, him also his marriage with Hagar, who was also um, was an Egyptian. Um, so you get like an understanding in a sense. Now, significantly, they're talking about, okay, if you look at, I guess the question will be, what's the significance though of, okay, so if Ham had Northwest and Southwest Africa, and Abraham inherited that, and the people, then there's a connection. And that's something that we have to consider. What's the actual connection? You know, what's the actual connection? Let me see. There we go. I knew it was something. It was, oh my goodness. Pardon self, y'all. Please. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna share. Kind of ties into your demonstration sheet. Uh, it says in the strive. Well, it's Yusuf Ali. It doesn't matter. Well, it says and strive for Allah and the striving due to Him. He has chosen you and has not placed upon you in the religion any difficulty. It is the religion of your father Abraham. Allah named you Muslims before former scriptures and in this revelation that the messenger may be a witness over you, and you may be a witness over the people, to establish prayer, give zakat, hold fast to Allah. He is your protector, and excellence is the protector. Excellent is the help. See, and even this one, or in this particular scripture passage, which is Quran Surah 22, Ayat 78, you get the idea of on our nationality card. When the prophet says, I now declare you Muslims under the laws of the Quran of the Holy Quran of Mecca. I probably butchered that whole. It's my nationality. All right, now hold on, real quick. Yes, sir. Well, you can see the correlation of bearing witness. You said the prophet bear witness. Prophets before bear witness. So where it says, I do hereby declare that you are a Muslim under the divine laws of the Holy Quran of Mecca. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So that's a little sidebar, dealing with that, but you can see where that can be confirmed that in the scripture. But this particular one is also dealing with the fact that people being in the faith prior to the revelation, even time of Abraham. Islam. So you see you can see the variations.
Islam, Sheik.
Islam.
The land of Ham is also referred to as the land of Egypt. And I'm saying it is my understanding that Ham was like a title, a title. And that's why I'm associated when God gave him the name Abraham, that the Ham is in reference to the land that he went into. And the book of Genesis speaks to that. I mean, not the book of Genesis. The book of Genesis refers to Egypt as the land of Ham. But the confusing part, I guess, is when we are looking at these particular geographical areas from the chronesis of Moses, from the chronology of Moses, from the calendar of Moses, from the time of Moses. We're more captivated on what he's saying as opposed to that land that he's talking about being there before he was born. Islam, and I think that kind of throws us off a lot. But it's very important to note that Abraham is considered a patriarch and somewhat to a degree a founder of our religion. And as the Sheik just demonstrated with that particular surah, was it surah 22:76? Which one was it? Yeah, surah 22:78, where it says that he would be witness, that he would be witness for you. See, on our cards it says, I hereby declare you are a Muslim, right? So we know for a fact that our prophet is a witness that we are that which he has proclaimed. Because it says, and he, Allah, has named you Muslims. Well, that's what it said in the Quran today. But it is he who named you Muslims. And it was he, Abraham, who also witnessed that. Islam, just as our prophet today, well, our grand sheiks today are in flesh, are witness, whether we are Muslims or not, or faithful like Abraham. Another thing for us to look at too is how the heads of the temple are regarded as father. So like a grand sheik
who's the head of the temple, or a governor that's the head of a temple, he's regarded, or she is regarded, as father or mother. She's taken in and becoming a spiritual father, not a father. So he or she, the head of that temple, is taking on the people, just as Abraham did. Well, I'm going to use the words I said. That Grand Sheik is inheriting those people. Islam.
Islam. Yeah, I definitely join with that. And that would be inheriting just as much as you said as Abraham would inherit the people of Ham, or those people in the land.
Right.
Yeah, right. So he would be like, I think we can go to the next question. Next question.
Islam, Sheik.
Islam.
Hey, brother, I kind of want to go back to something that is going to basically bring to the forefront what I've been saying earlier about inheriting a people.
Free.
Psalms 105, and I'm going to start with 6, and I'm going to end on 13. It says, O seed of Abraham, his servant, your children of Jacob, his chosen ones. He is the Lord of our God. He is the Lord of our God. His judgments are his judges are in all the earth. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded for 1,000 generations. That's the continuation of the name. The covenant which he made with Abraham, and his oath to Isaac, and confirmed it to Jacob for a statute, to Israel for an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I will give the land of Canaan. Where is the land of Canaan? That's something to think about. As the allotment of your inheritance, which they were but few in number, indeed very few, and strangers in it. When they went from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people. He made him Lord of his house and ruler of all his possessions. So when we look at Psalms 105, just read Psalms 105 in its entirety, and you can get a drawing, or well, I hate to say drawing, you can get a highlighted version of what I was saying when Abraham went into the land of Ham. All right, he took possession of that land, and not possession in terms of he had slaves, but he had inherited the people. All of the people came up under his covenant, and that takes us to what Abraham is referred to not only in the Bible, but also in the Quran of Mecca as the father of nations. The father of nations, Islam.
Islam. Now, my question is, could that be confused with some of the, a lot of things, the teachings of like the Hebrews were saying that, like, if Abraham inherited that, would that make the Ham people Ham Hebrews? Would that everybody be Hebrews?
Let's look at the language of the Egyptians, and where did let's look at who Ham and Cush were. Let's look at Mizraim, because that's the word that the prophet used in place of Egyptian, Misraim. Right? Misraim, is a Hebrew word. right? So what is the language of the Egyptians? I mean, today with the Egyptologists, you have Medu Neter and all of this stuff, but actually their language was of a Canaanite origin. And they are descendants of a people who did cross over from one land into another land. So, and as I'm saying this too, I'm looking at the time scale of, all right, was Ham first? Was Abraham first? Who was first? You know, Ham had to be the first to leave Asia and come into what we call Africa today and inhabit it. And then Allah sent Abraham into Africa. You know what I mean? But we have to really, that's an excellent question, brother. And with all the distractions I got going on in my house right now, I don't want to seem like I'm reaching. But I will say that the people who are the seed of Hagar and Ishmael and Ham and all of that did have their foundations in Asia, but Hebrew wasn't even a thought until you get to Genesis 10 verse 26, where it talks about the land of Eber. There was no Hebrew then. And in that particular verse, it says the land was also divided. The land was divided at that time.
Say it again.
He said that the land was divided at that time.
You said the land as in Egypt?
There was no Egypt at that time. Hold on one second. I'm about to go to it right now. Going to Genesis 10. I'm going to Genesis 10, verse 25. It says, to Eber were born two sons. The name one was Peleg, and for in his days the earth was divided. And
Genesis 10:25.
Genesis 10:25. That's right. Now, what do we know about that word Ethiopia? It means something divided. Something can be anything. It could be a river, longitude, latitude. It could be a division of a people. It could be language. It could be a land. It could be many different things, but it says something divided. But during this time, when you're reading this Bible, when you get up to Genesis 10, verse 25, the earth was divided. So if we look at the earth, this is what the earth looked like today, with all of the continents and the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Prior to that verse, or the prior chapters leading up to that verse, there was no division. It was all one continent. I'm just saying, according to the chronicles of Moses, when we look at Moses's time scale here in the Bible. So why did I bring that up? It's because everybody that was called Egyptians didn't start off speaking they brought the language from where they came from into the land. So hopefully that not only provokes thought, doubt, but also brings us to the realization that the Egyptians developed something, their own language, what we call today the Medu Neter. But I'm not going to say they spoke Hebrew either, because Hebrew is that's dealing with a time not before Egypt, but after Egypt. And as we know, there were some people who went into Egypt, and they were called the Israelites. They brought with them the language of the Hebrew language. But Iberi is where you get Hebrew, Eber or Iberi. I'm not a linguistic or anything like that, so pardon my mistake if I made one. But
yeah, I had years ago I had borrowed a book from my local library, and it was on the Hyksos.
Mhm.
And it mentioned the word Ibiru, Ibiru, and it was the people that crossed over.
Right.
And what it was the people, they were all Canaanites.
Mhm.
Hyksos too. And it said that the Ibiru were more like people who settled along like the trading routes
Right.
that crossed over between Egypt and the Red Sea into like what we know. So they would. That's where they camped out, and their dwelling places were across the trading routes. So that's the word Ibiru was the people that lived in the area, and they were Canaanites. They were Canaanites because
Right.
everybody who was coming in was coming from the land of Canaan into
Right.
even the Hyksos. So people they try to like that. At the time, I was reading a lot of so-called Egyptologists and conscious people trying to make the Hyksos to be like some form of European.
Yeah.
Like nah, they were Asiatic. They were us, but
Right.
we was ourselves, you know. So
Right. That's right, Sheik.
yeah, so you know, we are like I said, we are our worst enemy. Find that out. Hey man, let me tell you something. And I put this on a record. I started because I'm developing this presentation about Moorish history,
Right.
and I was like, you know, I really want to, you know, kind of highlight the dynasties, the Moorish dynasties from
Yeah.
like that ruled Spain, and, you know, that time. And Mo, I couldn't believe the switches in dynasties, like from the first conception down to the last. I'm like, man, these people. I was like, our ancestors it was at each other's throat from the beginning. You know, I mean, there was some moment of peace, but it was always tension. It was always conflict. You know what I'm saying? That somebody wanted power. So I guess at eventually, you know, despite our ability to hold it down for that long, it ended up falling because you didn't want this person to rule. You didn't want this person to rule. You know. Now that, like I said, we are working.
Right. Yeah. You know what's interesting, Sheik? In chapter 47, verse 6, the prophet says the pharaohs of Egypt. He don't say the pharaoh of Egypt. He say the pharaohs of Egypt. And as you look at those dynasties, you see where they went from an administration of pharaohs to one pharaoh. You know, that's something that that caught my eye as well. That our forefathers went to and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt. I mean, and in that statement alone, our forefathers were law abiders. They won't take us a land. It shows the humbleness. If you know, we go, hey, can you please give us a place to stay?
Right.
Islam.
Right.
So, you know, that's something to think about. And there were 33 dynasties that I can count. The last from the 31st to the 33rd dynasty, it was between the Romans and the Greeks. The Romans and the Greeks, they got it from 31. They had a couple of dynasties, 31 to 30. Yeah, 31. And then it was split 31, 32, 33. The Greeks ended up having it.
Like the Ptolemaic.
Yes. Now let's trace it back a little bit to Cleopatra, yo.
Okay.
And what she did. You know, she was a mixed seed.
Yeah, right.
And so, you know, as Moors, we are not prejudiced or hateful to any other national groups, races, or anything like that. Right? But we have to be careful with mixing and amalgamating with the pale skinned nations of Europe. You see what I'm saying? And if we don't understand that, we really need to look at the relationship of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Islam. We know Cleopatra was, and I mean, I don't profess to be the smartest person on the planet, or anything like that, but I do believe she was Greek and Egyptian.
Right. Yeah, you're
Right.
right.
All right. And in that, we can see the transference of power to a particular family. And look at the name Ptolemy. What is the national origin of that name, Ptolemy?
It's Greek.
There we go. And then we have the Turks.
Right.
After that, we had the Turks, and then after that, we had the Arabians, and today it's just been Arabian, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, because Rome, even though it was Byzantine, that was still a Roman.
Providence, right? Right.
That's when you get the startup of, your, I guess your new Moorish campaign through the Islamic banner, because when the Arabians came and they helped liberate the Gaudamantes from Byzantine and overthrow the Byzantine. You know what I'm saying? Many other Asiatics in that area took up the banner of Islam, and they began to carry it forward across northern Africa and the Mediterranean.
That's right.
Then we approached the Advent campaign of the Iberian Peninsula and taking Andalusia.
Islam.
I don't know what y'all schedule is. I know we labored long on some stuff. I mean, y'all want us to keep going. I don't know what your schedule is. Sheik Kerry Allende. I know you work in the morning, right?
Yeah, I got bounced back up, and daylight savings time is a 4. I gotta fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, we might have to close this one out.
Yeah, that 4 o'clock gonna be like 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll close this one out more. Hey man, I wish we could go longer.
Yes.
Brother Solo, you got any questions? You there? Islam Mo?
Yeah. Islam Mo. I just walked in the door, man, my house, man. I just
You got any questions or you good?
yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Brother Eric?
No questions, but it was definitely a good bill. I learned some things. I got some things to ponder on going forward.
All right, praise Allah. This young brother is very special, Brother Eric, man. He has a real sincere heart, man. And you're probably gonna be hearing a lot from Solo and Eric in the future. We got the event on the 4th of April at Alkaline Express in Newark. We're doing the lecture of the Solo, and then we have the week before then, this Saturday on the 27th of March, we're gonna do a community cleanup. Putting the flyer out. Just trying to be active, Sheik. So, trying to do some things. And I just want to say I want to thank Brother Kerry Allende for coming on. Blessing us with the wisdom. In his insight. Definitely got us thinking. Definitely got us thinking. We'd like to do this again when he's available. And everything. If Brother Eric, Brother Solo knows, but Brother Eric, I'm gonna let you know. Hit Kerry Allende up for any of his books. There's some of the books you might want to get. He writes he writes in a certain way, but he goes in. A lot of his books to me are needed for Moorish Americans development. I'm saying, and understanding the prophet and understanding certain things. Because he takes his time. Because he doesn't have anyone in his ear telling him, this way, or telling him it's this or that. He does his own work in dissemination of information. So yeah, you definitely want to get some of his books. It definitely comes in handy. Let me see if I can file this real quick. File these notes.
Islam Sheik.
Yes, sir.
I gotta assist the wife real quick with the little one. I'm just now coming from my Sunday school too as well. But yeah, I enjoyed the Moors. I thank you for allowing me to exercise my 5, and everything I said that's truth is of my higher self. Anything I say is of my lower self that's not right. It's not on Allah. It's not on the prophet. It's not on the movement. But Moors, if it's possible, I'd like to demonstrate with you all next Sunday as well, and Friday if you got it too.
Yes, sir.
Islam.
Islam.
I say peace to the Moors, peace and love, praise Allah, and you Moors be well.
All right. Peace and love, brother.
Yes, sir, brother. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Yeah. Hold on, Moors, real quick. Let me see chat. Yeah, see it. All right, cool. See. All right, Morris, we're gonna go ahead and proceed with the readings. Brother Eric, I usually read the warnings and stuff at the end because I don't know, it usually because I guess the style of the warnings, it seems more appropriate to read them at the end of the meeting. Because of the nature of what it says. So it's kind of like you're on high, you're in the information, you're getting information, and then when the warnings come across at the end, it kind of like brings you down, not brings you down like depressed or nothing like that, but it kind of refocuses you back to when you go out, because majority of the warnings are dealing with when you're going out and about. And keep in mind, so you understand how this movement is when you go out and about. So let's go into the ones, and then we'll proceed to close out in our lives. Inshallah. Okay. Try to pull them up. A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitated speech while on their jobs, homes, on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Start trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement. honored by the prophet, noble Drali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all, to all true Moorish Americans, that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is a everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is the instructions from your prophet Nabi Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds, and that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. But the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I know Ali, and that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see, hearts up, have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they would be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love, if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your crop. Watch it. Enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drali. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the governing officials and the nations of the earth, and that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify, so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance. I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being ahead. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the last few years. Is there any questions, announcements, anything? Y'all good? So we can close out and try to get your rest. Whatnot. Of course, we'll probably meet Friday, Holy Day. I know Solo, you'll probably be getting ready for your event on Saturday. Matter of fact, I gotta go to Philly and pick out an outfit so I can look accordingly.
Islam brothers.
Yeah,
Brother Eric.
Yes, brother.
Oh, peace and love, brother. I see you you coming to the side. I just want to congratulate you, man. I know you're gonna be in Philly. I'm in Philly. You know, hopefully we'll be linking up soon.
Yes, inshallah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're gonna definitely connect. Yeah. So Eric, we'll talk. Definitely working on coming out there this week, meeting with you, going over some things. I did talk to SGS and see how we should proceed. And he said, basically, he's giving me the green light. He said, it's your demonstration, Mo. Do what you do. So, and I don't know. I didn't know whether he wanted to add something special or whatever, do something different. But he just like, go ahead. He trusted me. You know what I'm saying? So, Eric, we're gonna get you situated, Mo.
All right, great. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem, Mo. We get you situated. We'll get you situated first, and then the other Moors that trust you and that feel like they want to slide through, and come over, come on home. We'll be ready for them too. So let me think. That's about it. I saved the notes in the chat. If anybody wants that, just hit me up. Let me know, and I'll send it to you. It has the Quran references and the biblical references in it. So, but from that, we're just gonna close out with the prophet's prayer. For those on YouTube, we're gonna close out the meeting.